Long Island's fabled Gold Coast once glittered with opulent mansions and the storied lives of those who built them. One such grand estate is Mallow, the magnificent Oyster Bay Cove mansion of Walter C. Farwell. Hi everyone, Ken here. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Walter's journey to prominence began with the impressive legacy of his father, Charles Benjamin Farwell. Charles had started with little and became a powerhouse in Chicago's business and political scenes. After moving to Illinois as a young man, he built a thriving dry goods enterprise with his brother and later served as a U.S. congressman and senator. His success was exemplified in part by the grand residences he built for his family. In 1882, Senator Farwell constructed a palatial Chicago mansion at 120 East Pearson Street on the city's fashionable Near North Side. The city mansion was a three-story showplace of red brick, brown sandstone, and carved stone crowned with a distinctive mansard roof in the French Second Empire style. Its opulent materials, including artesian wellstone and pressed brick, and prominent corner location, made it one of the most impressive private homes in Chicago. For decades, the Farwell Mansion stood as a symbol of Gilded Age luxury, dominating the block alongside an equally grand home built for Charles' brother John. Unfortunately, Charles' Chicago residence only remained a city landmark until the mid-20th century, when it was finally demolished in 1946 to make way for a new development. Charles Farwell also established a splendid country estate in Lake Forest, Illinois, giving his family a retreat from the city. The estate, known as Fairlawn, was a sprawling property north of Chicago where the Farwell children, including young Walter, spent much of their upbringing. The original Fairlawn house was a fine Italianate villa built around 1870, reflecting the fashionable taste of the era. Growing up amid such privilege, Walter Farwell was heir to both a considerable fortune and a tradition of high achievement. Born in 1863, he was one of 9 children, and notably, the only son to survive to adulthood. After graduating from Yale University, Walter entered the family enterprise and quickly assumed major responsibilities. He succeeded his father in business, becoming a vice president of John V. Farwell and Company. He also played a key role in managing the vast Texas land holdings that the Farwell family had acquired in the 1880s. His father and uncle had famously helped finance the construction of the Texas state capitol, for which they were rewarded with over 3 million acres of panhandle ranch land known as the XIT Ranch. In 1902, Walter married Mildred Mary Williams, a young woman who brought her own impressive pedigree and personality into the family. Mildred was the daughter of General Robert Williams and a well-known Washington, D.C. society belle, and she proved to be a dynamic partner for Walter. About 15 years his junior, she was renowned for her beauty. At one point, even touted as the most beautiful woman in America in the press, but she soon showed she was much more than just a socialite. When World War I erupted in Europe, Mildred Farwell astonished friends by volunteering as a war correspondent for the Chicago Tribune. She traveled to the front lines in 1915 to cover the conflict and aid the Red Cross, displaying remarkable courage and resourcefulness. By the close of World War I, the Farwells had amassed not only great wealth, but also a breadth of experience on the world stage. Now with peace restored, they were ready at last to create their dream estate by the sea, a mansion that would reflect their refined taste and adventurous lives. Thus was born Mallow, the Farwells' Long Island masterpiece. Construction of the mansion began around 1915 on a high wooded hilltop in Oyster Bay Cove on Long Island, about 35 miles from New York City. Walter had purchased an initial 85-acre farm property there in 1912, adding another 22 acres shortly after to assemble a sizable domain for his country house. For the design of the mansion, the Farwells turned to architect William Wells Bosworth, a Beaux-Arts-trained luminary who had an impeccable resume. Bosworth was fresh off major commissions, like designing the new MIT campus in Cambridge and crafting the formal gardens and facade of Kikuit, John D. Rockefeller's estate in New York. His classical expertise made him an ideal choice for what the Farwells envisioned, a Georgian Revival manor home that would exude the patina of an English country house. The choice of aged brick and tasteful limestone trim gave the house a sense of history and solidity, as if it had stood on that knoll for generations. The mansion's design embodied balanced, symmetrical Georgian proportions, a long rectangular main block with a hipped roof, chimneys anchoring the ends, and classically detailed entrances. A gravel drive approached the dignified front portico, while the garden facade opened out onto terraces overlooking the rolling grounds. Entering the mansion, we step into the vestibule, a large square room with cove ceilings soaring above dotted marble floors. We'll proceed forward in just a moment, but for now, let's turn our gaze to the left-hand side. Through a large archway, we get a glimpse of the grand staircase gracefully ascending to the second floor. Let's move in for a closer look. Passing through the archway, we can now clearly see wainscoting mirroring the balustrade on the wall behind the staircase. Now let's return to the vestibule and make our way straight forward, skipping over the gallery that runs between the vestibule and the next room. This brings us to the octagonal salon, a double-height room that doubled as the music room. Here we find fluted ionic pilasters rising towards a dentelated frieze, and as our eyes continue drifting upward, we find the room is traced by a catwalk, where we can imagine musicians stationed just out of reach from guests while the Farwells were hosting dinner parties. Bringing our attention back down, let's take a look at the fireplace and furnishings, noting chinoiserie lamps, a massive bas-relief, and a book rack for cozying up to the fire for a good read. Just off the octagonal salon, we find a room that is about the same size as the vestibule, known as the Coromandel room, named for the very wood that was used to clad the walls. The largest rooms each flank opposite sides of the house. The first one we'll explore is the library. Here the floor changes from marble to wood boards laid in a herringbone pattern, atop which we find floral furniture and a small handful of early modernist textiles sprinkled about. The room itself is classically styled, with pilasters reaching towards a festooned frieze and framing built-in bookshelves just above the height of the wainscoting. Over at the other end of the mansion, we'll find the dining room, which was a bit more reserved than some of the other rooms we've visited. Though when guests were visiting, the table most likely would have had all of its leaves in place, being ready to seat at least 20 dinner guests. Life at Mallow in the 20s and 1930s seems to have been both comfortable and cultured for the Farwells. The couple did not have any children, and this fact perhaps made their lifestyle more free and travel-focused. They could spend winters abroad or in Palm Beach and return to Long Island for the social season without worry of schooling or the like. In April 1941, Mrs. Farwell passed away at the age of 60. Her death was widely mourned. Newspapers remembered her not only as a great beauty, but as a heroic war correspondent and a Gracious Society host. Walter, now in his late 70s, was devastated by the loss of his beloved wife and partner of nearly 40 years. He continued to reside at Mallow, surrounded by memories of their life together. Then, just 2 years later in 1943, Walter passed away at the age of 80. Following Farwell's tenure, Mallow did not fade away. Instead, it began a new chapter, passing through a series of owners who ultimately gave the mansion a lasting purpose. In 1948, Eastwood School acquired the core of the Farwell estate, including the mansion. Today, the mansion that was Mallow still stands proudly as the heart of Eastwood School. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about Mallow? Did you have a favorite room? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.